Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about All the Bright Places. Before we begin, let me know in the comments if you were looking forward to this or what your thoughts were if you've seen it already, and make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews. It helps me out immensely if you do that. Also, if you're new here and you like movies, whether it be blockbusters, hidden gems, or everything in between, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases and some classics. But anyway, let's jump right in. This romantic drama stars Elle Fanning and Justice Smith as Violet and Finch respectively. They're paired up for a school project and are each trying to deal with their own problems. Violet's trying to get over the death of her sister, while Finch, who seems upbeat, often feels emotionally distant and struggles at school. However, as they begin to get closer, they begin to find new meaning in life and help each other look towards a brighter future. This was released on Netflix back in February, and it's based on the young adult novel of the same name, which I haven't read, but I've heard good things, and it's directed by Brett Haley, who also directed a very underrated film, Hearts Beat Loud, from a couple of years ago. And this is the first of two movies he directed that got a Netflix release this year, the other being All Together Now, which was just released last weekend, and I'll shortly have a review for that out as well. If you've ever seen The Fault in Our Stars, this will feel a bit familiar to you. The tone is almost exactly the same, and the dynamic between our two main characters is almost exactly the same. Both movies focus on characters who are dealing with a life-changing issue, and she's the more serious of the two, while he's the more upbeat one, at least on the surface. It doesn't exactly reinvent the wheel in terms of storytelling, and at first I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. You'll be able to call how parts of this go from like a mile away. Some of the scenes are something right out of the young adult genre playbook. There's one scene in particular that comes to mind where they're riding their bikes and there's this really sentimental music in the background and you hear both Justice Smith and Elle Fanning's voiceover. Also, the way Justice Smith tries to get her attention will be things that almost embarrass her, like making a public post on his Instagram story telling her to call him, or he'll sleep on her lawn until her parents say something. It can feel kind of cheesy in that regard. But this movie ended up working out for me. I wouldn't say it started off bad, so to speak, but once you get past the half-hour mark or so, once Violet and Finch start to get closer, it gets a lot better. And that's thanks to both Elle Fanning and Justice Smith's performances. Their chemistry is fantastic, and they play off each other so well. There's a moment where he takes her to this little farm where they have this mini roller coaster, and after they ride it, they're laughing, and they have these big smiles on their faces. And that caused me to have a big smile on my face. I just genuinely enjoyed seeing these two together. They felt so natural. This movie is about dealing with trauma and trying to find something positive in the world at a time where it feels like you can't. Even though the general feel of this is often kind of sad, when they're together, they're constantly trying to push through that sadness. They know it's not easy to get over the things they're dealing with, and they slowly try working their way through that. And seeing them work together just made me smile, but there are times it also gets super emotional once that connection with them is established. This also explores things like depression and anxiety, and it hints at those things from the beginning, but we really begin to explore those topics in the second half once Violet and Finch get closer. And it hits you hard. Once we see these two at their happiest, it'll feel like an emotional punch to the gut whenever things become challenging for them again. And like I said, both Elle Fanning and Justice Smith totally sell it here. I'd say this is the best performance for both of them, Elle Fanning especially. They both felt very relatable, and their handling of the material never felt like they were overselling it. You never felt manipulated into caring for them or anything like that. As for criticisms, besides feeling familiar at times, I'd say this suffers most with the supporting characters. All the performances were fine, but the characters themselves felt kinda disposable. The main purpose for essentially all of them is to just give us this exposition, mainly to tell Violet about Finch. This especially goes for all their friends and classmates. You also have Alexandria Shipp, who plays Finch's sister, and her entire role is mainly just asking him if he's alright and giving Violet a little backstory about him. Also, Keegan-Michael Key has a cameo as the school counselor, and it's just two quick scenes of him getting on Finch's case, and his whole role is, you agreed to this, you have to do better. Okay. Most of the characters just fill this role of telling us or telling Violet, hey, this is who this guy is, rather than feeling like truly fleshed out characters in their own right. I'd say maybe the only exceptions are Luke Wilson and Kelly O'Hara as Violet's parents. Before she gets close to Finch, they're trying to help her deal with this trauma, and we get some fairly emotional scenes with them at a couple of points, so that was nice. There were hints that there was something more with some of the other supporting characters, and I don't know if it's explored further in depth in the book, but I wish they had more of the character development that the parents had. Overall, this was a little better than I expected. It feels pretty familiar at times, especially for just how similar it is to The Fault in Our Stars in some regards, and it falls back on exposition a little too much at times, but when it works, it really works. It explores some great themes like trying to get through trauma and grief, and it has two fantastic performances from Elle Fanning and Justice Smith. They really brought the emotion to the forefront and made for a solid watch. If you haven't seen it by now, it's worth checking out. All the Bright Places gets a 7.5 out of 10. So let me know, have you seen All the Bright Places, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you read the book? And if so, how does it compare to the movie? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.